Hi, everybody. Welcome to Art of Heart and Happy Thursday. I'm Marissa Campbell. And for those of you watching on YouTube, you notice my background is a little different. I am not in my home studio this week. And the more we record, the more oftentimes I won't be in my home studio. Most of you know that I have a startup, which means I need to be on the road. I'm currently in Sacramento, California. And so I hope you guys stay along for the different scenes and see kind of where in the world Marissa is this week. And this week we're in Sacramento. I have to tell you, my guest today is full of joy. I started following her back in 2001, and I remember the moment that I saw the very first video that you had that come across my feed. And I was like, "Oh, like she's legit happy." And it was such a change for what was in my feed. And I've loved to see your journey and the evolution of who you are through social media, and I'm so excited for everyone who's listening today to get to meet you and hear your hearts and your journey. So, welcome. Hi, Lisa.
Thank you. Hi, Marissa. Thank you so much for having me here today.
I'm super excited. And I kind of want to start off by just telling us who you are and like how you're showing up today.
Well, first of all, thank you again for having me. And number two, I don't think I knew that you had been following me that long. That's so much fun. So you really have seen an evolution. Who am I? So I live in Shreveport, Louisiana with my husband and our youngest daughter. Older two have moved out. Currently, I am in leadership development. I'm a body language coach, a Maxwell leadership trainer, John Maxwell leadership trainer, and a communication consultant with the DISC personality profile. So, you know what's funny, Marissa, is if you have been watching my journey, so much of my business for maybe a decade has been virtual. And a year ago, I said, I'm over virtual. I need people. So, although I'm still online for things like this, I really started networking locally and building my blooming where I was planted so that I could be in
Yes.
person. So, if a team or a company flies me somewhere, I'm thrilled because I'm three dimensional. I get to be with people. And that is what this heart was missing. And what I get to do today is to work in person with people. And I love it.
That's so neat. I'm an introvert, and when I tell people I'm an introvert, they're really thrown, because I am kind of loud, and I seem extroverted in all the ways because I love genuine human connection.
Mm.
But then I come home and I come back to center, and everybody, my whole career, my whole life, like, "Oh, you're an extrovert." I'm like, "I'm not. I just really like genuine human connection. I like the in persons. Like,
Yes.
I would so much rather shake somebody's hand and sit in their office and have a conversation than get on the computer and be distracted by whatever is coming in the background." So I totally feel you.
Agreed. And I think, just coming out of the pandemic too, we were forced on Zoom and I felt very out of control. I didn't have control over that. And so today it's like, I have control. I have that control back. So,
Yeah.
Golly, if I have the choice at all, I'm going to be in person. So, yes, I love that.
So I have to ask you, what does it mean to be like a communications leadership expert? Because I've been in leadership for a really long time. I've taken more leadership classes than I care to talk about. And communication and body language has never been something that we've talked about.
Yeah. So I think it's a really important piece of the puzzle, with John Maxwell. So he doesn't teach body language. That's a separate certification that I got. But I started following him back in the early 2000s. And of course, he's been around way longer than that
Yeah.
and fell in love with leadership. And I was in the health and fitness industry for 34 years and brought that leadership in and still worked with teams, just not so much in a corporate capacity, which is what I do more of today. But then when and this will be part of my story that you'll hear in a little bit, but when it comes to communication, 9 times out of 10, when they bring me in to work with their team, that is at the root of everything. If that is not
Mm.
something that is dealt with and understood, everything else falls apart. So we talk about communication and we think verbal, right? John Maxwell has a book called Everyone Communicates, but Few Connect. And I love that title because I call myself a connection
Mhm.
coach because it is all about that connection. But 55% of how we show up to people is nonverbal. So that's a really important part of the equation. And that's why I decided to dive into that because it's something I was fascinated with and also a piece
Mhm.
that I felt like was really missing in the leadership circles.
It's 1,000% missing, and it's, so many years ago, I started a thing called office hours. And during that time, and when it first started, I was in an office and people could come in the office in and out and ask questions or get whatever they needed. And then I'd done virtual versions over the years. And what I found is that when it was a relaxed environment where there wasn't necessarily an agenda, that people would come and much more freely communicate and ask questions that they maybe wouldn't ask because they didn't feel like the time was appropriate, or like, we'll take that offline, or we'll start a sidebar, or whatever the lingo is, right? But part of that was absolutely the environment and the leadership style in which there was an open forum for people to ask questions and to connect, and not just this, what is the meeting agenda now? And what do we do next?
That's
And
right.
I didn't, at the time, I had no idea what I was doing, right? Like, I was just like, I know that we're missing something. I didn't know what we were missing. Let's start trying things.
Yeah, absolutely. And everything from, I like to tell people about that. Everybody can understand this scenario. I always have roofers knocking on our door, right? We have a storm, the roofers start canvassing the neighborhood. They are being interviewed from the moment they step out of their car, right? And that's how we are with our teams. If we're leaders of teams,
Mhm.
the moment, if we're virtual, the moment the camera is on, people are making judgments. The moment, not 5 minutes in, not while I'm sitting here
Mhm.
scrolling my phone, we're going to wait for everybody to come in. Mm-mm. Judgments are being made.
Mhm.
And so it's just our human nature. And if we're not taught, we don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So bringing that part of it into the equation, I feel like just maximizes that potential that every single professional and or leader, it just gives them a winning edge that so many aren't paying attention to.
It's those little things sometimes that, to your point, the winning edge, it's the little things that makes the difference in a good leader and a great leader,
Yes.
or in a good human interaction or a great human interaction. It doesn't just have to be in business, it's how you show up all the time.
That's right. That's right. With your spouse, with your children. I mean, how this started shifting, how my husband and I really started connecting is unbelievable because I was seeing things and I was watching for things because I was intentional about it for the first time, and we'll be married 29 years next month. Like, that's a long time to have been kind of oblivious to some of those things that once
Yeah.
I got cued in and started being intentional, I saw him in a new light, and he therefore felt more seen and heard. And that's what it's all about, right?
That's so cool. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing about yourself. I'm really excited to get into your first heart. Um, so social media is full of fake happy, and you only see the bright side of things, or you only see the shot when there's all the mess in the background, right? And I remember the first time I saw a video of you and your sister dancing, and first of all, she's front and center and the show is hers, and I absolutely love that. It brings me all the joy, and like the level of wholeness that I saw was magical. And so I want you to share with us the story of your sister. And for those of you who aren't following, you should totally go jump on her Instagram and scroll until you see a dance video with her and her sister, because it is pure magic.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, she's quite the joy. So, when I was 13 years old, my mom and stepdad, so Jessie is my half sister, my mom and stepdad told me that I was finally going to be a big sister. So, for 13 years at that point, all I wanted was a sibling. We had moved. At that point, I don't even know, but before my husband and I got married, I moved over 55 times. I lived in 55 homes. So you talk about having a really hard time connecting, making friendships, making any kind of relationships. It was excruciating. I always felt like I was standing on the outside looking into everybody else's relationship. So in my mind, what was going to fix that was an in-home friend. Bring in little brother or sister, right? So when they told me I was going to be a big sister, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for. So I had just turned 14 years old, and my mom was on her way to deliver my new sibling. We didn't know what she was at the time. We get to the hospital. She delivers my sister, Jessica. But the moment she delivers her, they said, Miss Christine, we have to go run some tests. Something's not right. So they took her away immediately. My mom didn't even get to hold her. So for 12 grueling hours, we're praying and we're fretting and we're going through every scenario, like what's wrong? What could it be? So you can just imagine, right? When they finally bring her to my mom and put her in her arms, and we're all in the room. The moment we saw her, we were like, yeah, something's different. Something doesn't look like all the other babies look. And so the doctor comes in and he looks at my mom and he says, Miss Christine, your daughter is a mongoloid. So that's what they called children born back in the 80s. That's what they called Down syndrome children. Your daughter is a mongoloid. She's never going to crawl. She's never going to walk. She's never going to talk. And my recommendation is that you go ahead and just institutionalize her. So we were just rocked on our heels. As a brand new big sister who was about to get my live-in friend slash, person that I could mentor, because now I'm 14, I'm not 8 anymore, right? I'm petrified. I'm scared. I'm confused. I have no idea what the future holds. I don't know what mongoloid means. I don't even think he used the word Down syndrome at the time. So we're all just kind of rocked. We were just rocked. But we knew that institutionalization was not an option for us. So we brought her home, found out what Down syndrome was all about, and we set out starting early intervention. And it was really hard. It was very, very, very time consuming, but it was really hard on Jessie. Everything took exponentially longer for her than it did for other children. Learning to crawl, excruciatingly difficult and a long process. When she started to walk, fall after fall and bump and bruises and scrapes and pain. But Marissa, she would always just get back up with the sweetest disposition. And it was almost like something inside of her was saying, watch me defy the odds. That's what it felt like. And so it was fascinating to be part of that. So today, Jessica is 38 years old. Not only did she learn to crawl and to walk and talk and to sing and to dance and to write and to add, but she's the most confident woman I have ever met in my life. And if you've seen her dance, you've seen that button that she wears. It's a picture of her, Marissa. She's 4 years old on the button. She's never, ever getting dressed without the button of her. Come on now. Who is more confident than my sister, right? So she
I
wears that
love
button
it.
with so much pride because she's like, that's me. And this tattoo, if you're watching on video, I've got a tattoo on my arm, and this tattoo, these arrows, there's a really cool story behind it. But this is this is a Down syndrome symbol, and it's called the lucky few. There's a hashtag, the lucky few. You can look online and you'll see a bunch of people with different arrows, different renditions of arrows. And so for my 50th birthday, I got this tattoo and told Jessie, this is you, baby. This is my reminder that you're my sister always. But through those years, Marissa, not knowing what things were going to look like, not knowing
Yeah.
what school was going to look like, not knowing what her confidence or her abilities were going to be like. Would she, be homebound forever? Like, you just not knowing early on, but watching her overcome obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. I was the one that was learning. I set out
Yeah.
to be the teacher, the mentor, the big sister, I'm going to teach you everything you know. And I ended up being the student because, as you'll get to hear in, another story, my confidence was bottom of the barrel for decades. I didn't have any. So to watch someone who entered the world being told you're not going to amount to anything, you're not going to be able to do anything, and it's probably best that you just get shoved aside and forgotten about, for her to show up like she does and to be so bold and so ambitious and so capable showed me that what the heck is my excuse? Why can't I step into that same confidence when I was never told I don't have the ability like she was, right?
Right.
So, you asked me what my heart looked like during this time, and it started off pretty gray. It started
Yeah.
off really dark because of all the unknowns we did not know. But today, that gray is gone because that girl is thriving. She is loving life. And if it was up to her, she would be a movie star, which is why I put her on my platform. That's the best I could do. I'm like, baby, go
Yeah.
do your thing.
Yes.
Because now you are, right? She calls everybody that comments, she calls them her super fans. Like, I'm just a placeholder for you until you come on my feed. Basically, people are putting up with
I
me
love it.
until you come back and we get to dance together. So yeah, that's my story of Jessie. She's an inspiration in so many ways, but I don't know that she's inspired anybody more than me.
I love that so much, and, when you first started the story, and, like, it was even hard for her to learn to crawl,
Yeah,
right? But she would fall and get hurt and then come back and do it again. We, as humans, get so defeated so quickly, so defeated. Like, there's one little inconvenience, we're like, "That's it, we're not doing it."
yeah,
And yet, she persevered after persevered with joy.
yeah.
Like, you can see it, like, when you watch her dance and, like, you watch just her, it is it is all of her. It is not like it is unlike anything I've ever seen, and the thing that I love the most is, like, the lessons that she has taught you and that you have been able to share, and the changes you have been able to make because she was there. Imagine if things had gone differently. There could have been different decisions. All of this could have ended differently,
That's right.
but
That's right.
every decision has led to the next amazing and wonderful moment.
Absolutely. And it makes me sad to think of all of the families that maybe missed out on something similar because they did make another choice because they just assumed what the doctor said was accurate and they felt ill equipped or whatever the reason. I'm thankful we've moved away from that institutionalization, mindset, but
Mhm.
that's what it was in the 80s and it wasn't an option for us. But she was definitely the teacher in the family and continues to be. She's remarkable.
What a wonderful gift to you and to everybody else that she is. And
Absolutely.
I do think that it's important for people to think about when they have hard decisions. Just because someone who is an expert is telling you one thing, you have to go inside and use your resources and make a decision that's best for you and your family. Because in the 80s, y'all's decision to integrate her into your home, that was really not the norm.
No, it wasn't. And, at the time, so her dad left when she was 2. So my mom
Mm.
really raised her by herself. I became co parent until I went to college, went off to college. But my mom, who had a terrible marriage when Jesse was born, it was already on the rocks, right? And then when Jesse came, it was, just another, what are we going to do here? And she worked full time and all the things. So to see what my mom overcame and decided to
Yeah.
push through in spite of her circumstances blows my mind. And I've highlighted her story many times on my platform because she's a hero in my eyes. What she did to
Oh,
raise 2
yeah.
girls by herself, one being special needs. So it's a pretty remarkable redemption story, no doubt.
I love it, and I love the fact that there's so many parts of your life that your relationship with your sister has touched. It's not just the fact that she's this wonderful spirit. As we go on to story 2, um, I think sometimes we learn the most from the places we expected for it not to come from, and
Mm,
for me, it happens time and time and time again, and it's so wonderful that not only have you embraced all seasons of your life, which we're about to learn more of, but you've turned them into a way to help others. And this confidence that you have now that has now shaped your career and your life is this really beautiful blooming effect. So tell us about story 2.
oh, that's good. I like how you put that blooming effect. That's beautiful. So, yeah, my second story really backs up to, being growing up. It was just pretty much me and my mom. Jesse's dad was around from the time I was 8 till the time I was 16. So he left when Jesse was 2. So it was just me and my mom. So at 16 years old, we moved into yet another house. I shared how many homes we lived in, and we were just always finding better rent, better neighborhood, better school. I was in lots of schools all within a 50-mile radius. So we were all here, right? So I mean that's what's crazy. I know. So when we moved into a new home after she and Jesse's dad split, I'll never forget because I was in my bedroom and I was getting changed and ready for bed. And in my bedroom, Marissa, I had a window, but the window, if you're looking at a video of us right now, the window started right about where my head is. So I'm 5 foot tall, so the window
Okay.
was probably started at that 5 foot mark, and then went up 2 or 3 feet to the ceiling. So I could be, buck naked in my bedroom and nobody would know because no, you couldn't
Nobody's
see.
gonna see, right.
Nobody's going to see. I had to get on my bed to see out the window. And I had a tiny little curtain, but it really only covered the very top half. Anyway, so I'm in my bedroom and I'm getting ready for bed, and I'm completely undressed, about to put on my pajamas that I had to go get out of my drawer, and I see something out of the corner of my eye. And when I look over, there's a man at this window, mouth agape, making all kinds of vulgar motions with his mouth and his hands, and he wouldn't leave. I started screaming, and because of his view, there was nowhere for me to hide. Like, my bed was up against the window, so I was behind my bed, but he had a full shot of me. There was nothing I can do without completely standing up and walking to go grab something to cover myself with. So he's standing at the window. I'm screaming, crying, yelling. My mom comes running. Remember, it's just me and my mom and my sister. There was no stepdad in the picture. She comes running in, sees him, and she starts screaming and cussing and yelling. He would not leave. I'd love to tell you the exact time frame. I have no idea, but he was so audacious to continue these motions and just staring a hole in me. My mom runs out of the room. I don't know if she was going to grab a gun or call the cops, but whatever it was, he didn't know either. And that's when he finally jumped down and left. And what we came to find out, because I'm like, I mean, he would have to be 8 foot tall. Like, how did he, or, I don't know, maybe only 6
Right.
feet. Regardless, he had taken a cinder block and stood it on end. That's how he was able to see into my room. So after that, Marissa, I will never ever compare my experience to somebody who was physically violated, but that was a violation that imprinted on me at 16 years
Huge.
old, and it really kind of destroyed how I saw
Yeah.
myself and how I showed up. I didn't come in at 16 already being confident. There's a whole other story behind that, but whatever I had was completely shattered at that point.
Gone.
And so for years, I remember when it would begin to get a little bit dark outside, even just a little, I would start going in every single curtain, make sure it was shut, every single blind. I didn't care if I was at somebody else's house. I'd start shutting their curtains, shutting their blinds, because in my mind, there was always somebody outside looking in that I couldn't see, always.
You
And that
weren't
plague,
safe.
that's right. I never felt safe. And as you think back now, and I'm like, wow, that was really uh, that wasn't rational, right? But
Yeah.
violation and how you feel afterwards is rarely ever rational. The
Yeah.
feelings that it leaves behind, and so what that translated into was me also fearing men. Period.
Mm.
So anytime I would even just pass a man at the mall, my eyes would look down. I would avoid eye contact. I would look everywhere but in their eyes, because if you think about it, eye contact is very vulnerable. It's
Mhm.
very vulnerable. I
It
mean, even in a good relationship, when you're looking at somebody's eyes, you're telling them, I see you. Well, I didn't want to be
mhm.
seen. That's the last thing
No.
I wanted. I wanted to be as small as I possibly could. And don't know if you caught it, I'm only 5 foot as it is, and I still felt too big. I just wanted to be hidden. I did not want to be seen. I did not want to be noticed ever. But I struggled even with women looking in their eyes. I just pulled inward and felt exposed all the time. So this went on for a really long time.
So,
Yes, go ahead.
hold on, I have to ask, so, like, the safety of your home is a really important part of, like, growing up and maturing and developing, and, like, we always talk about, like, a house is a home and all these things, but that having it happen in your bedroom, the place where you are safe, it really erodes so much. How did you go to counseling at that point? Like, did you have someone to help you, or you just this happened and you just kept going on with life?
Yeah, exactly. No, I did not go to counseling. Retrospect, that would have been a great idea. We just We just didn't for whatever reason. I mean, my mom had so much happen to her and she always powered
Yeah.
through. So I think that was kind of the thing. Not that she minimized this at all, but we just kept going,
Kept
right?
moving. Yeah.
But to your point, it was a long time till I ever got undressed again in my room. I would be in the
Oh, yeah.
bathroom, anytime, and again, even if I was in a room that didn't have a window, there was just still this feeling of that somebody could be in the closet, somebody could be behind the shower curtain. It eroded that safety net, even in the most safe place
Yeah.
where you should be, right, which is your home. Um, so as I moved on and I started realizing, wow, I cannot look people in the eye. I struggle. And so when I was doing personal training, when I was a trainer, it was okay one on one with women, but the moment I would get in a group of women, even, okay, so this isn't even
Mhm.
men, I would do group fitness training, right, and I would find myself looking between people or over their head, or it did
Mm.
not occur to me. The two things never connected. I never thought consciously, I'm not
Oh.
looking in their eyes because of, I just had to, I just thought I was shy. But it was an epiphany as I got older, as I started moving on in my career, that this eye contact thing was a problem with me. And when I really got to thinking, what is my problem? What is the root of why I struggle to look into people's eyes? I was able to trace it back to that situation and say, I wasn't confident before that, but I did not struggle making eye contact
Mm.
before that. It wasn't that big of a struggle. So here's what I did to rectify it. I started forcing myself to look in people's eyes. And it was very subtle. It was like, let's hold eye contact for 2 seconds. Okay. Whew, that was a lot. Whew, I need a nap
I
now. Okay.
survived.
Yes,
Okay.
I survived. I survived. All right, let's hold eye contact for 5 seconds. All right, now let's go for 8 seconds, right? It was just this slow roll to go. For human interaction and to build relationships, you've got to allow yourself to be vulnerable enough to let people in,
Yeah.
which meant I had to see them, and scarier, I had to let them see me. And that
Yeah.
was one of the things that really propelled me into being so curious about body language and communication, and what does that look like from a human standpoint, from a professional standpoint, and from a team standpoint, because they all work very closely together. And it really was transformational for me. It really was. So today, I stand before you being able to hold eye contact, but I can still very honestly say every now and then there's still that little thing that tries to creep up and makes me want to avoid. And so as I've gotten more bold and as I've built my confidence, which big part of that came from taking back my power and saying,
Yeah.
I'm safe. I'm safe, and I'm going to hold your gaze, because what means something to me now is that you feel seen, and you cannot feel seen if I'm looking up and to the left and down at your shoes. You do not feel seen. So for me to see you, I have to engage
Mhm.
with your soul, which is right here. It's right there in your eyes.
Right.
And it really transformed everything. And so from my sister showing me her confidence and what she overcame for me, I thought, you know what? If she can do it, I can look in somebody's eyes, hold that contact, and take back the power that was taken from me.
So it's so interesting. There's kind of three big blocks of things that you did. And so if we break down your story a little bit, the first thing you did was you knew there was a problem, and you went through and mapped your waypoints. And I call them waypoints. They're these big things, the good, the hard, the aha moments that make us. You mapped
Mm,
back, you're like, wait a minute, when did this happen? What happens so often in life is we, instead of being introspective or trying to figure out when something went awry, right? We just keep moving. And you could have continued to go on knowing that you want to have genuine human connection, you want to see people and you want them to be seen. You could have just kept going and just kind of looked off at the wall or looked at their shoulders, but you stopped and you're like, okay, what is the root cause of the problem?
mm,
And I'm sure going back and reliving that memory is not easy.
mm,
And then you're like, okay, I don't want to be like this anymore. I want to make a change for me. Someone took something from me and it's time to give it back. And I love the fact that you did it in little bite-sized pieces. Like you didn't all of a sudden you're like, okay, today I'm just gonna show up and look at everybody. You're like, no, 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 no. I can do it for 2 seconds. And we can do really hard things, but sometimes you just have to take a little teeny tiny baby step.
That's right. That's right. 100%. Yeah. And that's what it took, and slowly as I got that power back and realized, okay, holding eye contact, I'm not without clothing. They can't see beyond my clothing. And what they are getting in return is a human being a human being, and caring about them feeling seen, valued, heard, understood, and loved. And that really helped to shift, because again, it took the focus off of me. It's all about me. What's happening with me? What are they thinking about me? To do, they're probably showing up with their own baggage and their own concerns
Of
and their own,
course.
right. And so
A thousand percent. Yeah.
if I can do something to help them feel safe, that was again that mental shift that just helped push me over the edge and go, you know what? If I'm going to ever overcome what happened and make an impact in this world, I've got to get beyond what kept me stuck for just an unbelievable amount of time, to be able to push through and help other people in what I do today, but also help them, whether it's the grocery store, the lawn guy, or right here on Zoom, know that as a human being, I see them too, and they're safe.
And they're safe. The safety thing is so it's a very interesting lesson that we all learn from a different perspective. There's all different reasons why we don't feel safe. And I think it's a lesson that everybody learns.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the story behind it, but that safety is so critical to not only our ability to thrive, right? Which is the point. I think we're here to thrive and to help others, but also, are you safe with yourself?
Yes.
And I'm really I've traveled a lot in my life, and usually I'm alone. And I spend a lot of time alone in hotel rooms, and I always feel really happy and peaceful when it's just me. And I noticed that a lot of my friends are not like that. They don't like the quiet, and they don't like just the like my one of my favorite things is to be in the room with one of my best friends. I don't have to talk to you, but you're here and we're sharing space, and I know and I love you, but I don't have to talk to you because I'm safe and you're safe and we're just coexisting in this place together. But I
Mm.
do think that when people are filling the void, they're filling with sound, the nervous chatter, the anxiety, it comes back to the root cause of something at some point in their life told them or took safety from them. And now there's a constant need to fill instead of just be.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a really good thought, because as an extrovert, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Was I born extroverted, or did I become this way over time because I did need maybe the filler? I did need the people to buffer the pain and of many things, right? We all have a story
Yeah.
that goes way beyond one or two things that happened in our life, but as a high I on the disc scale, which is influencing and interactive and energetic and fun and all these things, I do think a lot. I get very introspective about, wow, am I like that because that's how God made me, and I truly believe He did make me that
Hmm.
way. But am I that plus? Am I that times 10? Maybe because of some things that I've had to put in place to make me feel safe, to make me feel
Yeah.
secure in my relationships, in my environment, in my profession, right? So I love that you said that, because that's a lesson that I have had to learn and still in the process of learning,
Hmm.
because I do love people and I think that's a good thing. But that being by myself, sometimes I can only take it for so long. So that's just a really great point that you made.
It's really I'm interested that you say, like, you're still learning, you're still healing, you're still, um, in this process of discovery, right?
Mhm.
And how long have you how long have you been comfortable making eye contact?
Oh, I was thinking about that the other day. Actually, I was trying to pinpoint when it really started, and I think it was around 40. So I'm 53 right now, but I remember 40 something shifting for me, and I just felt like I was taking back control in a lot of areas of my life.
Mhm.
And I just remember then, it was around that time that I just started being more intentional about everything, like literally everything in my life. So if I had to nail down a period of time, I think it was around then. So we're talking, almost 2.5 decades of
Yeah.
living in this fear and this insecurity and this low confidence, and literally shrinking to fit my environment so that I would not be seen. I remember, Marissa, when I first started building a social media platform, I was petrified to
Oh,
quote go viral. That wasn't even how we put it back in 2008 or 10 or whatever it
mhm,
was. But I was like, oh, I had a certain amount of likes or views, and I'm like, and done. I don't want that to go out
and done.
anymore, because I just thought, but that's more people seeing me. It was weird. But as I continued to build my confidence, and as I continued to engage with eye contact and make that mindset shift that it's not about me. If I want to add value and impact, I got to get past this block, this literal speed bump in my life. And so I think it was around that time when I was starting to build my social presence too, that I'm like, it's sink or swim. I'm here and people like my stuff. So I got to get a hold of this situation. So yeah, that was kind of the shifting point for me.
Yeah, and like you want to make an impact. You want to connect with people. In all of your stories, you want to have your gifts be of use to the world, right? And in order, you had to overcome things. If you're listening to this podcast and there's something that's happened in your life and you're like, that is something I absolutely cannot overcome. And that you think that, well, I've been this way for 40 years, I've been this way for 30 years, or I've been this way for 20 years. Things can change. Like Lisa is living proof that she made one little tiny step in the direction of who she wanted to become. And she's still working on it. But what a beautiful story of where she is today.
Thank you. Yeah, I love your call out for your audience, because that's the thing, and that's my hope. That's why I'm here today, Marissa. Usually I'm
Yeah.
when I come on podcasts, we're talking about leadership and communication and body language. But what I love about what you're doing is that we see ourselves through stories. We see ourselves
Mhm.
through stories. That's why I love storytelling, and why we all love hearing stories, because we get to go, oh, I relate to that, right? We get to
Mhm.
see ourselves. And so my hope is that through not just me, but everybody you have here on your platform, that people can see themselves in a different light and through different eyes, and see that light
Mhm.
at the end of the tunnel, that it's not easy and it is not overnight. And I don't know that I will
Mhm.
ever will have quote arrived. And I kind of hope I don't, because then I'll stop growing.
Yeah.
Like, I love the fact that there's growth and opportunity for however many years God has me here on this planet, to continue to move in the direction that He has me going. To me, that's actually really exciting. Once you arrive, it's like, man, I'm there, right? I don't know. It's fun for me, in an unusual way. So yeah, I love that. I love your platform, and I love what you're doing, just to help people see there is hope. There is value in who you are, and there's worth in who you are,
Mhm.
and you are worth the work that it takes to get beyond whatever your roadblock is.
Thank you so much for saying that. It's been a very hard journey for me to show up and be seen in this way because I've always been like the business girl and never been the heart behind it. And so this journey for me has also been very scary, being seen in a different way, but it's totally worth it. Before we say goodbye, I would love to ask you, what is one piece of advice that you would like to leave with us today?
Ooh, oh, that's good. You know what? Live life with intention. If you're listening to this podcast, I have zero doubt that you want to leave this world better than you found it. I don't think you'd be on listening to a podcast about heart if that wasn't your heart. So if you're listening and you're like, yeah, I want to leave a mark on this world, I want to leave it better than I found it, then be intentional about whatever steps it takes for you to create that impact. Whether it's overcoming those obstacles, those hard times, that baggage that you have pulled into your relationships, your work life, your parenting, whatever it is, because I've been there and done it. But there's hope on the other side, but we have to be intentional. It will not happen by accident. So that would be my advice, is to see your value and your worth, to know that you are worth the work, to be intentional to get on the other side.
I love that. So, for those listening, do one thing that's intentional today. that moves you closer to yourself. Thank you so much for being here. I had a wonderful time. I appreciate you sharing your hearts with us. Have a great day, everybody.